Hi, this is Brandon, Almighty DM. I'm here with Drew today. We're just kind of going to make a SLA Industries podcast. We're here just making a character. We're going to go through the process of it. There might be a little bit of dead time here, but we're just going to talk through it and discuss kind of what he wants to see, and I'm going to eventually write a story around it. So, Drew, do you have any ideas about what you want to play?
I do. Like I said, I want me to take the driver package or whatever it's referred to in the
Pilot. I think there's pilot and navigation. There's a training package for that for characters that are players who want to have a character that has a focus or at least some training in the school meanie, which is probably pronouncing. I'll probably pronounce a bunch of things wrong because one of my friends introduced me to this game years and years ago, and we played a couple sessions, but we didn't have a large group of other people who were playing at the time because it is kind of a niche game. So I only really got to see their idea of what the game was, not anybody been playing it for 10 years or something. But okay, so tell me about the driver package. What kind of race or anything you're talking about?
I'm looking for one of the races that's probably not incredibly high intelligence, like perhaps a Stormer 313 or Advanced Carrion. Because I basically want him to be, in person, just the brute. Put it into context, I'm trying to basically make Chewbacca.
Okay. Alright. Well, just for everybody who's listening, this game's been out for a long time, and there's a lot of great content spread out through a lot of books. So I kind of made a packet over the last couple of years, and the last couple of weeks I've been refining it. It just kind of tells you how to make your SLA Industries character, or at least what steps to make. I like, it's got it in the book, but I like my packet. First off, obviously pick your race.
Yeah, let's see.
If you need to look at the notes on it, I've got those in there too. So here we'll pause it for just a minute. He had a question about the chagrin, and I just wanted to kind of chime in on that. You can find the chagrin. I think it's in the Karma book, and they're what they are is it says they're larger than a Stormer, and because they're larger than a Stormer, there is a weakness to that, is that they are big, which makes them a little easier to shoot, which there's a modifier in the shooting tables. I think it's like people get a +2 to shoot them because they're so big. But I mean, if you're big as a barn, that's just the trade-off you get. But you can also get super high strength scores. I know they're not very smart, I don't think, but they do have the standard storm regeneration. They obviously, like I said, they hit a little harder. They're the 714s again, the newer model Stormer, as I understand. Now, since they are so large, now personally, I would say the APCs, like the Battle Taxi and the Hammer is the other one, the Hammer Lock, the Hammer class. I'm sorry, yeah, the Fin 4461. They're built for humans to use largely, but I'm assuming that a chagrin could be accommodated. Maybe not in the driver's seat. Maybe you could just rip the seat out or something. I don't know. Does that change your opinion?
Yeah,
because they're so large. I think there's a chart online we could pick up.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they are the Hulk of the setting. Unless you're playing the low wave, which are like mobile buses, as far as I know.
All right.
But those are NPCs anyways, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll go back to my initial idea of the Stormer 313.
All right. Well, do you want to take a minute and write all that down, we'll go over that real quick. Like the Stormer, it says their strength can go up to 15, dex to 13. They have reduced diagnose and concentration, charisma, because they are essentially like a big football player, like gigantic human with all the skin ripped off with a horse head and teeth, and I mean, I'm sure you can customize like the end result look, but I think they're all supposed to look like the intruder. No, actually, intruder. I think he's supposed to look like semi-normal, but like they're freakish.
Yeah.
They're a copy of, I think, Malice or something. This other one. I'll have to look it up. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a Slay lore expert, but hopefully we'll get there. So, I guess we're gonna write down some numbers real quick, and we'll be right back. One of the things I always tell people when they're making characters, not like I've made a bunch, but um, write down all your racial minimums, not necessarily the maximum, as long as you got the chart in front of you, and kind of like make little tick marks on your paper just to kind of figure out how many points of whatever you want. Like obviously, if you wanted to play a Stormer 313 and you wanted to be like a melee combat guy, you would want to bump your strength to something high and divisible by 3, obviously, because that's where you get your numbers from. I mean, um, did you want to work melee into the build, or were you going to go more for a mechanic?
Well, he's going to be mostly a mechanic, but I want him to be melee proficient. Like I do like the look of the boom hammer.
The boom hammer. You know, if also, I was looking through the contract directory today, and I made some notes about that. There's a whole list of common weapons in there, and you can actually add like stuff like vibro or chain or mutilator to all those common weapons and make them very, very practical. And I was actually surprised. I mean, I'm not sure if it's canon, but I took the whip, and because I figured that's not a bladed weapon, and it's not a bladed weapon, so you couldn't make it chain, and it's not a bladed weapon, so you couldn't make it vibro, but you do hit people with it, and in a world where there's vibro swords and gauze rifles, I kind of figured you could make a mutilator whip, which mutilator. I wasn't exactly sure what that does, but I know there's mutilator fist, and I assume it just, it's a big gauntlet that you punch people with, and it tears into them. So I imagine you could probably make a whip that does something similar, or at least, kind of thematic to that. So kind of look, what is it? I've got the page number here somewhere. Pardon my mess. For us, it's going to be on page... That's ammunition. There's lots of weapons in this game. Here we go. For you, it's going to be on page 8. For them, if you're going to look at it, that will be contract directory, page 113. Like I said, you can take there's a whole list of regular weapons and modifications to them. So, yeah, mutilator whip. I mean, I think it says I don't have it sitting in front of me, but I have it worked out here where it does 8 damage with 4 pin and 4 armor damage. Now, it is an expensive weapon, and it uses a specific skill called flexible weapon, which is kind of unique. I merged maces and flails into that, just on my own personal thing. But and adding mutilator to it makes it cost a lot. It makes it cost about 340 credits, which you should easily be able to afford that with your starting money. And it does, like I said, it does tons of damage. Somebody might come back and correct me in the comments on this, but as far as I know, and even if that's some people would say you probably couldn't modify it with that. I would say I would wonder why whip is in that section if you can't modify it, because obviously you wouldn't put chain, and if you did put chain on it, it'd do less damage. But that also seems somewhat reasonable. But thematically, chain says it attaches to a hard surface, so it can have 2 chain blades running in opposite directions. So. But anyways, no, you could use the 2-handed mutilator sledge or something, and that does very, very similar damage, and it's going to cost you about the same. So, you could, I will say, not to reference Warhammer 40K, because that's not exactly my favorite thing in the world, but like take a sledgehammer, two-handed sledgehammer, add mutilator to it, and you kind of got those big honking hammers like they do, in that game. So you could thematically make something. Look at that. Think about it. If you have any other weapons, I mean, traditionally, I think I see people going with the flick scythes and vibro sabers and power claymores. But I guess if you're using contract directory, which I totally forgot to add the archery weapon, the bow, which is overpriced in my opinion. But it avoids the bullet tax, so maybe it's not overpriced. So, all right, we'll look through this and we'll get back. All right, Drew's spending his points right now, but just kind of why he's doing that, I guess I wanted to go over and say, you've got your stats, you've got your strength, your dex, your diagnose, concentration, and then you've got a couple composite skills or stats, but they're 5 points apiece. You've got 300 points to build a character. And what these stats actually do is they give you your caps on corresponding skills. Like, for instance, if you're going to have one-handed blades, and like you're going to use a sword or something, when you rank up your skill in one-handed blades, you cannot exceed the relative skill. So say for instance you had like a 6 or like say a 7 in strength, you couldn't bring your one-handed blades past 7, or if you did, you wouldn't have access to it until you later increased your strength with adventure experience, or that's pretty much the only way to do it. Or implants. I guess you could do it with implants or drugs or something. But yeah, he's still working on that. And about composite skills, just as far as that goes, when you're building a character in SLA, know that you're going to have a certain amount of hit points, just like almost like any other system, except for your hit points are determined by your strength plus your dex, which gives you your physique, and then you add your strength to that one more time. So it's strength plus dex is physique, so it's physique plus strength technically. And your physique is also used to determine if you're using the optional rule about shock, which anytime you take a hit that does more than half of the hit points you have in a location, you got to make a shock roll. Otherwise, you immediately go unconscious. For people with high physique, that's not going to be an issue because the cap on that is only, the difficulty on the test is like an 11. And if your physique is a 10, obviously you are rolling 2d10 and it's impossible to fail it. But if you don't have your physique maxed out, if you're not playing a physical character, you might actually run into some problems right there. I've seen some other people who apply penalties to that roll to maybe make shock more of an important thing in game, but I think it's probably fine where it is. We'll be back in just a sec. We're sponsored by American Honey Whiskey today, so, not really, but...
Alright.
Okay, so Drew has finished purchasing his character's stats. Do you kind of have any commentary on what you did, why you did it?
I can talk you through it. I've boosted his strength not quite to the maximum he can have of 15, but to 13, which should be enough to give him make him a formidable opponent in combat. But I have boosted his dexterity to 13, which is a Stormer's max.
And you know that I think it's 13 allows him to act in all 5 phases of combat. So that's good to have unless you want to be a drug addict with ultraviolence and rush and all that.
Not quite a raider, but he'll work.
All right.
Diagnose and concentration I've also put up to their maximum, which unfortunately for a Stormer is 8. So.
Was there something behind that? Was there a reason behind that?
Well,
obviously diagnosis is kind of the learning skill.
Concentration and diagnosis, Stormers aren't exactly smart, so kind of why I wanted to try to form one into a driver.
Okay. Well, I think isn't driving based off concentration?
It is, yes. It is.
Well, yeah, and probably what is an 8 in driving would be pretty dang good.
Yeah. I mean, for a human, that's above average.
Pretty close to maximum for a human, anyways. All right, well, moving on to kind of, I guess, the next section, section 3. You're gonna have to fill in your physique, and obviously your physique is your strength plus your dex, which is
that would be 26.
26, and it's divided by 2. I'm sorry, and it's rounded down.
It'd be 13.
All right. Your knowledge is going to be your diagnose plus your concentration divided by 2, rounded down. All right, and now you're going to calculate your hit points. Hit points is going to be your strength plus your physique.
That would be 26.
Okay. Your head is your total hits. Your hits on your head, your hit points on your head is your total hit points divided by 3, rounded up. So what do you got on your total hit points?
Let's see, 26. Total.
26 divided by 3. I don't know, I can't do math. Math are hard.
It'd be 8.6 rounded up to 9.
Okay, that's a lot of hit points you had in your head. I'm just going to give you kind of a cheat on Cam's character. I know her character has 6 hit points in her head, so you're doing a little bit better than her. You can take more than 1 shot to the face. Probably. Alright, your torso obviously is going to be your full hits. Your arms is going to be half your hits rounded down.
That'll be 13.
Alright, your legs is going to be rounded up.
13.
Alright, going to step 4 here. You're going to do your SCL, all operatives start at a 10. Just for reference, I think all regular SLA employees are SCL 11, which 10 is better than 11. The lower you go is the better. But it takes a long time to increase it. Matter of fact, I've seen a lot of people with really low SCLs. They must have been playing the game for a long time, or they're getting a lot of jobs that are really tough. Taking a lot of black jobs.
Yeah.
So, alright, yeah. So, you've got a 10 SCL. We might even do a blue BPM later tonight just so you can get a feel for the character. Maybe we'll invite somebody else over if, Cam, if she's available or something. And maybe we'll talk about her character too. The next thing we're going to do is your racial skills. All of the races have skills. In this case, I'm just going to read the Stormer skills out real quick. We'll probably pause it while you write it all down. But the racial skills on the Stormer, they get Unarmed Combat, rank 2. Slay Info, 1. Rival Company, rank 1. Intimidate, rank 2. Streetwise, rank 1. Evaluate Opponent, rank 1. They also get the Stormer Regeneration, which is the normal one, and Claws. We're going to write that down real quick, and after that we'll start buying actual skills before we go into advantages and disadvantages. So give us just a moment, and then we'll kind of explain what he bought. I was going to say, and always, when you're making your slay sheets, especially when you're doing your skills, it's always important to actually work all this up on a piece of scratch paper as you're putting all your tick marks and running down your costs and how many points you have left. It just makes it a lot easier, and that way you don't have to rip a hole in your sheet with all the erasing you're probably going to end up doing. Alright, we'll be back. Just because there's so many skills in this game, the best thing to do on your scratch paper is just to kind of list out every skill that seems interesting to you, and then just as you go through it, just kind of add tally marks to the ones, as you buy them. It might help to organize a little bit, Just kind of for my own personal sanity, there's a lot of skills in this game, and I have merged some of them down. So if you guys hear me talk about skills that don't exist or not using the right skill, just kind of list them out real quick. I merged Axe one-handed into Blades one-handed, Coordination into Sleight, Drunken Fighter into Unarmed Combat, Extreme Violence into Intimidation, Flail into Flexible Weapons. I ignored Industrial Weapons. And I got rid of trick shot as well, just because as far as my players were not quite advanced enough to use them all, and it was just simpler that way.
Alright. In the strength category, I have taken 5 ranks, which is 15 points in total. In club two-handed for the use of the boom hammer. In the dex category, I've taken 2 points in pistols, with just to have as a backup. Charisma, I don't have a lot of charisma, but I have taken 3 points of intimidation, just for, because that'll probably come in useful occasionally. In the physique category, I've taken swim, because I've learned never to not have swim, and acrobatics, just for the hell of it. In the concentration category, I've taken drive military 6 or 7 points, and hopefully my package will bump that up to my maximum I can have of 8, and drive civilian of 3. In the knowledge category, I've taken mechanical repair 6, electric repair 3, pilot military 5, and navigation 5, and space navigation 3. So hopefully that should help me fill in the pilot role fairly well.
I had mentioned to Drew that I just recently downloaded the what was it, the Interstellar source book. I think it's a fan-made book for space travel for SLA. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun. I've been watching too much Farscape lately, so we're going to try that out and see how that goes. But I think we're going to go ahead and move on to advantages and disadvantages, and we're going to get through that, and we'll probably go ahead and apply the packet or your training package on top of that, tongue-tied. And then we'll be pretty close to done. We probably won't go through all of the equipment though. So we'll do. You were saying that you were gonna go for an APC. I mean, and I know we're probably gonna end up with maybe 9 people showing up in one night, maybe 3 people in another for the game. So it's going to be important that at least a couple vehicles are floating around in the group. But you said you did want to have the APC, so you can be the driver.
Yes, and I also.
Oh. All right. Well, hopefully we can get through this advantages, disadvantages without the baby crying too much. You mentioned that you wanted a major enemy.
Yes.
Okay. The difference between a major enemy and a minor enemy, from my understanding, is a major enemy will try and murder you. The amount you buy it to, like if you buy it at a 10, they're constantly trying to murder you. If you buy it at like a lower level, they're not really after you as much. Also, I would assume that the higher you buy it, the more of a threat they are.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like the minor enemy is going to be somebody who's just trying to screw you up, mess up your career, maybe get you some bad publicity or something. As far as minor enemies go, I think that would be like a financier who's mad at you, an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, a SLA employee who just doesn't like you. If you bought it at like a 10, it would be like somebody in the vast bureaucracy of SLA that wants to just ruin your day. Or if you bought it at like a 10, maybe, and it's a major enemy, it could be like a contract killer who's just got it out for you, and they're not gonna quit until they have your tanned hide across their apartment, on the wall. Or maybe there's a particular Thresher commander or something that doesn't like you, or a Dark Knight terrorist, who will kill anyone around you to get to you. That kind of thing. Does that sound interesting? I know
Yeah,
you, you could probably take combinations of that with friends and enemies. Well, we'll get back to what you end up taking with that, or do you have an idea?
Not really at this
Not
point.
not yet. Okay. Really, the point to taking all the disadvantages is to generate points
Yeah.
So that you can buy up advantages or you can buy skills higher. You, you can end up with, you might even be able to increase your base stats or, have a particular skill you want to increase. Or one of the fun things I always like having is good luck or bad luck. That's one of my favorites. I think my groups learn not to take any bad luck because I usually say, well, who's got bad luck? Let's see who's got the worst. And then it's followed by who has no luck, followed by who's got the worst good luck. And
good luck size. So.
I mean, I know in that one situation, one of your characters ended up setting himself on fire before he was torn apart and eaten by a monster.
Yes.
But that was last time, and we're gonna set the bar a little higher this time.
No Molotov cocktails.
No Molotov cocktails with no throw ability. So we'll come back at the end of the section. All right. So far, what advantages have you looked at, kind of talked about?
Let's see. I have taken vehicle 10, so I can have my armored taxi. I have housing -10.
So you're gonna be homeless.
I'm gonna be homeless. I'm living in the armored taxi.
So you're gonna be rolling around and trying to find the restroom where you can, and showering in a ditch and all that good, and in the rain. Yeah, there you go. Because it's always raining. There you go.
Stormer shower.
There you go.
I definitely have luck. Luck +5.
Yeah, because you know how important it is to have luck
yes,
in the game.
I am not playing one of your tabletops without luck. Just for funsies, I've taken bad speech. There's only one rank in that. I have minor friend 8 right now. I think I'm thinking of boosting that up to a 10 if I have points left over. And savings 2, so I can have enough to buy a weapon and some ammo.
Okay, and the friend you wanted was, so far we were talking about like maybe an auto mechanic or somebody who maybe owned the shop, like a businessman who was a mechanic.
Someone like an uptown mechanic, someone who I can use the tools. Maybe someone I help out.
Because an 8 for a minor friend's pretty good. So that would be the guy that always has the parts or access to the parts you might need. It may cut down on repair costs, maybe not. We'll see. And what was the last thing you said? Yeah, you had talked about you wanted the boom hammer, right?
Boom hammer, yes.
And I haven't added that to my list of weapons yet, but there's a lot of kind of archaic medieval weapons in the contract directory, and the boom hammer. What do? You load 2 shotgun shells into that, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it archaic. Well, not medieval.
Well, there's staffs and maces and stuff.
Yeah, but the boom hammer is a large sledgehammer with shotgun loaded piston on the end.
And you use that to splatter the carrions and all sorts of stuff.
Yes, it is very good at splattering everything.
Okay, and you finagled a little bit with your was it good finances?
Good finances.
Or, I'm sorry, good savings.
Good savings, yeah.
So you could afford the boom hammer, and you're going to end up buying, what is it, one of the better armors?
Yeah, the Exo-Stormer armor, I think.
Exo-Storm. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I think doesn't that give you like a strength bonus?
+3 strength bonus.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you're definitely going to have a good advantage over everybody with was that a PV8 armor? Or?
Yes, PV8.
So that's pretty solid.
One of the better legal armor you can get.
Yeah, I've included some of the Thresher and Dark Knight armors. I just put them all on the list. I even put illegal weapons in the list. So, and I say illegal because if you get caught with Thresher equipment, they should confiscate it, I would think. And also, SLA Industries has no means, and you have no means of repairing it. So if you wanted to use it for a little while and didn't get caught because nobody, depending who has a finance chip or not, and how SLA loyal you are, because that's the thing, how loyal are you to the company? So yeah, and my suggestion is always to have some kind of ranged weapon. I know you're just starting out, and I don't know if y'all are gonna have a combat squad or an investigator squad. But knowing a couple of y'all's players, y'all are going to end up with some pretty heavy combat hitters. I know Daisy's Vivifant is a sniper. She was talking about making another one, and y'all had 2 ebon healers, and I don't think you had. I'm not sure if you had any brain wasters, but just depending on who shows up and if they decide to make new characters for this new campaign. Um, but I don't know. What I'd like to do is kind of go on, work on your backstory maybe a little bit next time. But I think that's going to pretty much wrap up the character creation tutorial, first video, or not video, but podcast we're going to make here. I know it was kind of impromptu, but maybe in the next one we can have a couple of people and we'll maybe have like some game discussion or plot discussion or something. But I think this is good for a start. So, anything else you wanted to add?
That is pretty much it.
Okay, well, that's it for Brandon and Drew, our new SLA game, and we'll catch y'all next time.